Irinka arrived in her native village late in the evening. Almost half the night they talked with mom, remembering all the good things that happened in their lives when Ira was little and the years of her youth, when the grief that happened forced her to leave her father's house. Now, after almost 10 years, she has calmed down. But then, many years ago, Irina wanted to go to another world after her fiancé Lev, who died in the army, in the first year of service. They had such a love, which was envied not only by girls, but also by guys. According to his commander, there was a strong wind that day, and when a company of soldiers was crossing a swampy small river on a narrow bridge, a huge rotten tree was knocked down by the wind and it, falling, hooked wires and broke the bridge, dragging 4 guys with it. One caught on the railing and immediately jumped out, immediately helped the second one. Leva pushed him out from below, holding onto the counter, then helped another one, and then the wind threw a broken wire on the guy. In the morning Irina gathered at the cemetery to visit all the relatives and friends who were already lying in the churchyard and, of course, Levitica's mom picked flowers, collected a bottle of water, and she brought cookies and Lavina's favorite chocolates with her. Mom stayed at home, decided to bake pies for the arrival of guests who wanted to see Irina, and the girl walked through the cemetery, spent her aunt with her grandmother, then went to her father's grave and here she is at the fence of her beloved Levka. He looked at her from a young and handsome photo. Irina greeted him, stroked the monument, cleaned up on the grave, put a treat and sat down on a bench. You look at me as I grow old alone. Without you, there was nothing to leave me. Hello, is this your fiancé? Beautiful. Abandoned you? Irina shuddered in surprise, looked around. A young, pretty girl with a scythe was standing at the fence. No, he died in the army. I feel sorry for him. But mine left me, traded me for a city girl. It's such a shame, because we had such a love, and then he left, went to college. At first he often called, came to me from the city, and then abruptly stopped calling and driving. I asked his mom, she couldn't explain anything. Then I packed up and went to the city, and saw my Volodenka with another. They were walking in an embrace, beautiful and happy. When he saw me, he told the girl that I was a village fool who wouldn't let him pass, so I came to town. He started yelling at me, and I had such a lump in my throat that I couldn't say a word in response. Irina looked at the girl sympathetically. I sympathize with you, but don't worry about him, since he turned out to be such a scoundrel. I think you will meet your love again. Thanks. Maybe a meeting. Goodbye. The girl looked over Irina's head, as if at someone. She also looked back, no one. And when I looked at the place where the girl was standing, it was also empty. It's strange how she disappeared. She sat a little longer, talked to the left, said goodbye and went home. When I was walking past the last row, I didn't notice a brick and slightly twisted my leg, and in order not to fall, I grabbed the fence. Her gaze slid over the marble monument. A cute girl with a scythe was looking at her from the photo, who had been talking to her at Leva's grave about half an hour ago. Irina became scared, and she ran home. She told this creepy story to her mother and Aunt Klava, who came to visit. The women were amazed and told her about the tragedy of this lovely girl Larissa. They had a relationship with Vladimir since senior grade, then he graduated from the 11th and left to go to college, but did not pass the scores and applied to college. And Larissa had to study at school for another year. After the new year, when he did not come home for the winter holidays, Larissa herself went to the city. She knew the address of his rented apartment and there she saw him with another. He verbally offended her and sent her home. And after that he texted her that he had fallen in love with someone else, and he no longer needed Larissa. The girl came home and hung herself in the shed with grief, leaving a note that Vladimir was to blame for her death. For a long time afterwards, the police dragged him for interrogations and that other girl left him. Larissa took revenge on him before her death, at least a little. Sometimes the offended dead, who did not have time to tell about their grievances, find a means or appear themselves, to sensitive people or those who have an unmanifested gift of communicating with the dead, to tell about what torments them in the next world. Thanks for watching. To support the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Your support is very much needed.